Shall we check me out? Yeah. I feel like I'm hiding. So I was going to stay back here because it seemed like I could control my computer that way, but you can't see me if I do that.
We need your footstool.
I'm just going to walk around, Hava. Thank you. But then, no. So here I am. My name is Susan Weston. Today is Tuesday. I wasn't sure about that yesterday. And I was just telling.
Monday.
You thought it was Tuesday yesterday?
Yes, I thought it was Tuesday yesterday. Gotta get ready. Oh, God. So could you please make sure that your phone isn't going to ring? I'm doing a bunch of, I can't say black poets, but poets of color today. And so I have to say, even though I thought yesterday was Tuesday, there's another side of me which is saying how serendipitous the Village College syllabus has been for me. So we did that wonderful music in the Cathedral Hall with Jim. And then I was thinking about the music of the poetry. And now I've forgotten the other one that I was going to talk about. Daryl. Wave at me. Daryl's class on Aikens, I'm leaving out Peel, Aikens, and the poetry about art. And then John Cunningham's wonderful presentation on the black, in the life, black ancestors, the LGB, no T or Q, but lesbian, bisexual, gay movement. And so I wanted to start with that, moving a little bit forward from the time frame he was in, with a quick look at Gwendolyn Brooks, and then go to the poet of the day, Elizabeth Alexander, and her Venus Hottentot. Yes. So, I'll bet you guys all know this poem. Do you? The pool players? No? Oh. Okay, so Gwendolyn Brooks, 1917 to 2000. That's a nice long span of time. So she sort of covers the time that John was talking about, but then we get into the Black Arts movement in the 60s, and then even now into a kind of multicultural identity stuff. This is a poem from 1963. So I could just briefly say she was writing more conventional poetry of the sort that we expect, with a kind of nice line length and rhymes, stanzas that are very structured. And the Black Arts movement liberated them into a much more authentic, I have to be careful with this language, voice. Her original voice was perfectly authentic, wasn't it? So she's trying to capture something from the street. Okay. The pool players. 7 at the Golden Shovel. I'm going to read this the way she read it. Found an audio, but it's such a hassle to try to get these up. I just thought I'll skip that one and read it myself. Let me just check my audio. Gail, are you hearing me okay?
Absolutely.
And there's no pop? Well, that's great. Thank you. We real cool. We left school. We work late. We strike straight. We sing sin. We strike straight. We sing sin. We thin gin, oui. Jazz June, oui. Die soon. Ooh. That just gave me goosebumps. I do love poetry. I do love poetry. How does it do that? Well, there you go.
What does we thin gin mean?
I think it probably has to do with making the gin go further by putting something in it, or I can't think what else it would be. It's a kind of nice syncopated African-American jazz on the street. A comment on, and as she read that poem, the preface was that she was teaching and happened to be out on the street during a school day, and there they were. 7 at the Golden Shovel playing pool. And so she is giving voice then to the kids that she's trying to reach and educate and liberate.
The Wire.
What?
The Wire.
The Wire. Oh gosh, The Wire. Yeah. It doesn't stop. Yeah. No, you know what? I'm going to go on now. Unless I see a hand importunately saying, I need to say something. Oh, God, okay.
Microphone.
Is this the same?
No.
No,
Is it?
that's Geraldine Brooks, no.
Oh, Gerald, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No, my early rap.
Early rap, yes. And if I wanted to pursue this line, we get into performance poetry. And if we have time, I don't think we will. I have one more slide in here with a Black poet who comes out of the slam tradition, and that's that whole spoken word thing. And it's very aggressive, verbally aggressive and provocative and shattering, often provocative anyway. So there's a whole line of this that sort of starts here with Barack Obama.
Yes.
Yes.
Miri Baraka.
Thank you, Amiri Baraka. See, I knew him back in New York as Leroy Jones, and that's a kind of poem in itself. Amiri Baraka and Gwendolyn Brooks. Yeah. So there's a tradition there. But watch how far we come in one generation with her. I want to just tell you a little bit about this woman. I wonder if any of you remember her from, speaking of Barack Obama's first inauguration, the poet. This is she. They met in Chicago when she was teaching at the University of Chicago. So 1962, she's born. So we've got, is that 2 generations? Yeah. So overlap, continuity, and profound change. Because she was finishing her doctoral degree in English at the University of Pennsylvania and teaching at Haverford from 1990 to 91, which is when she published this poem inside a book called The Venus Hottentot. So this is a very early poem of hers, because Barack Obama's inauguration, that poem was in 2009. So she's got a long span of time that she's working. She taught at a whole bunch of different universities, all of them very prestigious, from the University of Chicago, Smith, Yale, Columbia. And then she left academia and went into philanthropic work, worked at the Ford Foundation, and is now, you ready? President of the Mellon Foundation, which is a multi-billion-dollar philanthropy and the nation's largest funder of the arts and humanities, where she's doing incredible work to support the arts and Black poets. And you can feel her hand behind some of the writing workshops that have been established, where you're seeing young Black poets like Jericho Brown coming up, having emerged from these colleges. So, in 2022, she was named one of the 100 most influential people in the world. And in 2024, she was invited to read this poem at the Universe in Verse, which is, I don't think it's annual. Anyway, it's a conference of scientists and poets. And they're trying to get poetry engaged with the scientific world. So she was engaged in the scientific world way back when in the 90s when she wrote this poem. And so 25 years later, she still comes back to it on certain occasions. Okay, that's just enough out of me. So the Venus Hottentot, I'm going to put it up on the screen for our video audience. Some footnotes. Charles Cuvier. Has anybody besides Neville heard of Charles Cuvier? You don't count. Yeah, Charles Cuvier. Put your hands up if you've heard of him. Major scientist. Yeah, major scientist.
Mainly because I read a book about the Venus Hottentot.
Aha. Yes. By Stephen Gould, the anthropologist. Yeah, yeah. So 19th century, early 19th century, instrumental in establishing the fields of comparative anatomy, yada yada. So you need to know that because he's one of the voices. He's the first voice in this sequence. And another footnote, the poem mentions Broca's brain. And Broca was a French physician who was overlapping with Cuvier somewhat, and is famous for finding out that different parts of the brain have specific functions. So those brains got stored in jars of formaldehyde, including Broca's brain, which is in Musée de l'Homme, along with Sarah Bartman's genitalia. Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And those all that stuff actually got returned. They got returned in like 1970, 74. Do you believe this? It's just, well, okay, that's they did this. So here's Sarah Bartman. If I had any language skills, I'd be able to pronounce her name better. Where she was exhibited as a freak show. And the poet condenses this stuff. So even though she was sent to France to be examined by the French anatomist Cuvier, Alexander, the poet Alexander, doesn't bother with that detail. It's a little telescoped. So I just want you to know that. It's as if everything's happening in London. So here is a flyer for the freak show. The poem mentions the sapient pig, and there it is. It really was that really was happening. And this is what the engravings were to distribute, to publicize these extraordinary buttocks. Measured and poked and prodded, gazed at. Oh my God. One of the engravings that the poem mentions is the ball of the Duchess of Dubarry, where the women are just horrified. I don't believe it, well, doesn't matter. Okay. Here we go. The Venus Hottentot by Elizabeth Alexander. 1, Cuvier. Science, science, science. Everything is beautiful, blown up beneath my glass. Colors dazzle insect wings. A drop of water swirls like marble. Ordinary crumbs become stalactites set in perfect angles of geometry. I thought impossible. Few will ever see what I see through this microscope. Cranial measurements crowd my notebook pages, and I am moving close to how these numbers signify aspects of national character. Her genitalia will float inside unlabeled pickling jar in the Musée de l'Homme on a shelf above Broca's brain. The Venus Hottentot. Elegant facts await me. Small things in this world are mine. Notice this is the same two-line structure as the Gwendolyn Brooks. So there's great flexibility with the language, huh? This is certainly not syncopated. It's very precise. Chop, chop, chop. So you go from that precise, objectifying, capturing, scrunching, labeling, pickling, to. There is unexpected sun today in London, and the clouds that most days sift into this cage where I am working have dispersed. I am a black cutout against a captive blue sky, pivoting nude so the paying audience can view my naked buttocks. I am called Venus Hottentot. I left Cape Town with a promise of revenue, half the profits in my passage home, a boon. Master's brother proposed the trip. The magistrate granted me leave. I would return to my family a duchess, with watered silk dresses and money to grow food, rouge and powders in glass pots, silver scissors, a lorgnette, voile and tulle instead of flax, cerulean blue instead of indigo. My brother would devour sugar-studded nonpareils, pale taffy, damask plums. That was years ago. London's circuses are florid and filthy, swarming with cabbage-smelling citizens who stare and query, is it muscle, bone, or fat? My neighbor to the left is the sapient pig, the only scholar of his race. He plays at cards, tells time and fortunes by scraping his hooves. Behind me is Prince Carmi, who arches like a rubber tree and stares back at the crowd from under the crook of his knee. A professional animal trainer shouts my cues. There are singing mice here. The ball of Duchess du Barry. In the engraving, I lurch toward the belle dame, mad-eyed, and they swoon. Men in capes and pince-nez shield them. Tassels dance at my hips. In this newspaper lithograph, my buttocks are shown swollen and luminous as a planet. Monsieur Cuvier investigates between my legs, poking, prodding, sure of his hypothesis, which we will need to talk about. I half expect him to pull silk scarves from inside me, paper poppies, and a rabbit. He complains at my scent and does not think I comprehend. But I speak English. I speak Dutch. I speak a little French as well, and languages Monsieur Cuvier will never know have names. Now I am bitter, and now I am sick. I eat brown bread, drink rancid broth. I miss good sun, miss mother's sadza. My stomach is frequently queasy from mutton chops, pale potatoes, blood sausage. I was certain that this would be better than farm life. I am the family entrepreneur. But there are hours in every day to conjure my imaginary daughters in banana skirts and ostrich feather fans. Since my own genitals are public, I have made other parts private. In my silence, I possess mouth, larynx, brain in a single gesture. I rub my hair with lanolin and pose in profile like a painted Nubian. Like a painted Nubian archer, imagining gold leaf woven through my hair and diamonds. Observe the wordless odalisque. I've not forgotten my Xhosa clicks, My flexible tongue and healthy mouth bewilder this man with his rotting teeth. If he were to rise up from this table, if he were to let me rise up from this table, I'd spirit his knives and cut out his black heart and seal it with science fluid inside a bell jar. Place it on a low shelf in a white man's museum so the whole world could see. It was shriveled and hard, geometric, deformed, unnatural. Oh, wow. Woo. Woo, woo, woo. Sorry, video audience. I can't do apparently two things at once, so I didn't keep up with my reading. So let's start with Cuvier for a sec, huh? Notes to self. Or what? Why do you think she started with Cuvier? You and I need to do some work. Thank you. Or, put another way, what's the difference between Cuvier's voice as he speaks, as he reveals himself, and what happens when you get into a much longer line, much more relaxed, detailed diction? Yeah. I'm just going to pass that. Is it on? Okay.
Well, I'm thinking about how Cuvier is in some sense part of the heroic scientific revolution that this is one of our foundations of our society.
Yes. And which we continue to revere.
Yes, and which we continue to revere. The poem seems beautiful and lovely until you get to, I'm moving close to how these numbers signify aspects of national character and then the floating genitalia. So I think giving voice to this draws us in, we Western scientific type people, and then shows us where it can lead. So that prepares us, perhaps, for the horror of her own experience.
Thank you. Very nice. Very nice. It's also what happens if a scientist has his conclusion and goes hunting for the data to prove it.
Right.
So he's gone astray with his theory of evolution. She's an intermediate
Yes.
in evolution
Yes.
of humans. And that's why he pokes and prods her.
Right. But it did make sense, didn't it? I mean, I remember from my own early education, that picture of mankind is like, whoa, up we go. And I think some people still feel like we are the crown jewel of evolutionary creation.
Because that was always white people.
White people too, yeah, white scientists. And then you get to her section, which is just so rich with imagination and memory, longing. Oh my God, the humiliation. Yeah. So that section where Monsieur Cuvier investigates between my legs, poking, prodding, sure of his hypothesis. Yeah. What did I say we were going to come back to? I forgot now. Oh, I also love, Cuvier assumes that she can't understand anything he's saying, and she speaks more languages than he does. So there's that intelligence as well being demonstrated without kind of making a big deal about it. It's like, I'm really smarter than you, dude. No, she doesn't say that. English, I speak Dutch. I speak a little French as well, and I speak all the click languages that come with my heritage. Oh boy. And I love that section where she says, since my own genitals are public, I've made other parts private, which shows such self-management, such psychological wisdom. Oh my goodness. And we are privileged to see those parts that are private, that are read out in this poem. And then the explosion of that rage, which comes right after us sort of imagining herself as a Nubian archer, gold leaf woven through my hair, just rich and beautiful. Yes. And so what she imagines is that his heart, not his brain, his heart is shriveled and hard, deformed, unnatural. This is a poem that lived 25 years, and I mean, she could repeat it and repeat it. It's a wonderful poem. All right. I think, yeah, sweetie.
I love, wait for a
Microphone. You got two.
I love the inclusion of the word geometric, describing his brain.
His heart. What?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it is so kind of cold and
Sharp angles.
sharp angled.
And he also talks about, in his voice, he talks about geometry at the beginning.
Yes, yes. So,
Everything is measurable.
right. Everything is measurable in his world. Yes, yes. And
It's unhuman.
he is,
He is unhuman.
or all too human, maybe, right? I mean, if this is the world of a scientist,
But where's the humanity?
well, yes, exactly. And what's so wonderful about her voice in the poem is the expression of such a richly imagined humanity. Yes, yes.
Cuvier presents himself best of the best. His exhibit will be above Balker's brain.
Above,
Therefore, it's the best of the best.
yes,
And it's very competitive.
yes, yes, very competitive. Patricia,
These are so obvious, I'm sure everybody else has thought of them.
I doubt that,
The
but
22nd Street Physicians Museum with the body parts
Oh,
of people who are now.
the Mutter, the Mutter Museum. Hold on.
The Mutter Museum on 22nd Street, which is right in the heart of our city. And the obvious Kim K and J-Lo with We Admire and their huge buttocks to
Oh.
this day. So I thought those were just obvious today, relevant. It's not profound, but just obvious.
Yes, yes. Well, I think the Mutter Museum is having an existential crisis about its
There's a lot of controversy.
Yeah. Identity. I want to give you a chance to meet her, if I can make it work. Now here it is. Well, this is Maria Popova. Why can't I get this down? The engraving of her. And this is video that was shot during the Universe in Verse in 2024, where the conference where the poets and the scientists get together. And that's Elizabeth Alexander reading.
Here's what we don't see it.
Thank you. A vision.
Never mind.
Well, we could listen.
You want to listen?
Yeah.
All right. Do you see that? No. Okay. So I just am not. not getting.
Watch your arrow there and move this to the right.
What does that do?
It puts the arrow over
Put
there.
that on the,
Put that on the link. Put that on the link?
Go ahead.
That's it.
Go ahead, what? Here, click there.
I'm doing this backwards.
Well, why don't you
Come.
do it forwards.
See if you can make that work, Ed.
try control click?
Well, it actually came up over here. So how do we get it going?
I don't know. If you can't do it, I think it's hopeless, and I'm willing to let it go.
Well, where's the movie?
It's down. Keep going. Right there. Whoop.
Oh, there it is.
There's. You want to click on that?
Yeah, let's try that. Still got the
All right. So we got an audio.
Thank you. A vision, a vision. This is absolutely amazing.
You did it.
I find myself thinking of Mr. Biggs, my 9th grade biology teacher, who loved me very much, though I was a terrible biology student. So perhaps he knew that one day this would happen. Rest in peace. This poem, The Venus Hottentot, I wrote in the late 1980s. I was reading about and learning about Georges Cuvier, a French scientist who I learned about through his experimentation on a Southern African woman named Sarah or Sarki Bartman. He was interested in her anatomy, he was interested in her genitalia, he was interested, along with many other people, and this to say that science is awesome, science is sometimes beautiful, sometimes science is terrible, and many, many, many people have died in the name of science and pseudoscience. So he experimented upon this Southern African woman, and his work was designed to show that African women, all you needed to know about them to understand their essence was in their genitalia, in the same way that he believed that all you needed to know about European men would be understood by calibrating their brains. Stephen Jay Gould wrote about her after looking to find Broca's brain in a repository, and found instead her remains, which were exhibited for decades and decades and decades in a jar in the Musée de l'Homme in France. When she was living, for the 25 years that she lived on this earth, she was brought from Southern Africa, and she was exhibited in private balls and circuses, caged and naked, and became, in the early part of the 19th century, a way that people would again mark difference as a way to imagine superiority. So you would imagine I was looking for and listening for her voice, and so that had to be in the poem. But what surprised me about writing the poem is that the first section asked to be written in the voice of Cuvier. The Venus Hottentot. 1. Cuvier. Science, science, science. Everything is beautiful blown up beneath my glass. A drop of water swirls like marble, colors dazzle insect wings, ordinary crumbs become stalactites set in perfect angles of geometry I'd thought impossible. Few will ever see what I see through this microscope. Cranial measurements crowd my notebook pages, and I am moving closer, close, to how these numbers signify aspects of national character. Her genitalia will float inside a labeled pickling jar in the Musée de l'Homme on a shelf above Broca's brain, the Venus Hottentot. Elegant facts await me. Small things in this world are mine. 2. There is unexpected sun today in London, and the clouds that most days sift into this cage where I am working have dispersed. I am a black cutout against a captive blue sky, pivoting nude so the paying audience can view my naked buttocks. I am called Venus Hottentot. I left Cape Town with a promise of revenue, half the profits, and my passage home a boon. Master's brother proposed the trip, the magistrate granted me leave. I would return to my family a duchess, with watered silk dresses and money to grow food, rouge and powders in glass pots, silver scissors, a lorgnette, voile and tulle instead of flax, cerulean blue instead of indigo. My brother would devour sugar-studded nonpareils, pale taffy, damask plums. That was years ago. London's circuses are florid and filthy, swarming with cabbage-smelling citizens who stare and query, is it muscle, bone, or fat? My neighbor to the left is the sapient pig, the only scholar of his race. He plays at cards, tells time and fortunes by scraping his hooves. Behind me is Prince Carmi, who arches like a rubber tree and stares back at the crowd from under the crook of his knee. A professional animal trainer shouts my cues. There are singing mice here. The ball of Duchess du Barry. In the engraving, I lurch toward the beldames, mad-eyed, and they swoon. Men in capes and pince-nez shield them, tassels dance at my hips. In this newspaper lithograph, my buttocks are shown swollen and luminous as a planet. Monsieur Cuvier investigates between my legs, poking, prodding, sure of his hypothesis. I half expect him to pull silk scarves from inside me, paper poppies, then a rabbit. He complains at my scent and does not think I comprehend. But I speak English, I speak Dutch, I speak a little French as well, and languages Monsieur Cuvier will never know have names. Now I am bitter and now I am sick. I eat brown bread, drink rancid broth. I miss good sun, miss mother's sadza. My stomach is frequently queasy from mutton chops, pale potatoes, blood sausage. I was certain that this would be better than farm life. I am the family entrepreneur. But there are hours in every day to conjure my imaginary daughters in banana skirts and ostrich feather fans. Since my own genitals are public, I have made other parts private. In my silence, I possess mouth, larynx, brain in a single gesture. I rub my hair with lanolin and pose in profile like a painted Nubian archer, imagining gold leaf woven through my hair and diamonds. Observe the wordless odalisque. I have not forgotten my chosa clicks. My flexible tongue and healthy mouth bewilder this man with his rotting teeth. If he were to let me rise up from this table, I'd spirit his knives and cut out his black heart. Seal it with science fluid inside a bell jar. Place it on a low shelf in a white man's museum so the whole world could see it was shriveled and hard, geometric, deformed, unnatural. Thank you.
Wow. Let's see if I can get out of here now. Oh, no. Yes, let's turn the lights on. So we're gonna switch gears. I always like to feature one really wonderful poem from most of the class, and then just have a little addendum of something else. Here's the something else. Anne, will you help me distribute that? I'm gonna give you one and start over here. Will you help? You do your, remember your teacher days? All right, that should be enough, I think. Got enough? There are plenty. Plenty, plenty. So in my search for poems that meet the criteria of the classes I've defined it, which is the poet speaking in somebody else's voice, a persona poem, a dramatic monologue, I found a couple of poets writing in the voice of their, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Taino ancestors. Well, I have to tell you, this is something I knew nothing about. So this was an interesting discovery. So, where am I? Okay. So the Taino, does anybody know how that's pronounced? No, okay. The indigenous peoples of the Greater Antilles and surrounding islands. So you're not just Puerto Rican, you're not just Jamaican, you're Taino. Whoa, who knew? Okay. I'm sounding like John here, I need to move right along. I'm not even sure if this is in fact a persona poem. There's a we here, not an I. So it's clearly not the poet speaking, but she is speaking as a we. Reporting back to Queen Isabella. And when we say Don Cristobal, you know we're talking about Christopher Columbus, right? Okay. When Don Cristobal returned to a hero's welcome, his caravels corked with treasures of the New World, he presented his findings, told of his great adventures to Queen Isabella, whose speech set the gold standard for her nation's language. When he came to Casameca, he described it so: the fairest isle that eyes ever beheld. Then he balled up a big sheet of parchment, unclenched, and let it fall off a flat surface before it landed at her feet. There we were, massifs, high mountain ranges, expansive plains, deep valleys, one he'd christened for the Queen of Spain. Overabundance of wood, over 100 rivers, food, and fat pastures for Spanish horses, men, and cattle. And yes, Your Majesty, there were some people. Okay. Everybody get it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this is this poem by Lorna Goodison. I mean, these are poets I've never heard of and who deserve to be heard. I thought this was quite charming. A Jamaican poet, so she's Jamaican and was the Poet Laureate of Jamaica from 2017 to 2020 and divides her time between Ann Arbor, I think she teaches somewhere, and Toronto and the north coast of Jamaica. And so here's the other one. I don't know how this man pronounces his name. He used to be, you once would have said he was Puerto Rican, of Puerto Rican descent. But he calls himself the other Latin, writing against a singular identity. So it's this whole multicultural thing that's happening now. Jim, you're frowning.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In the Lorna Goodison's, there's a phrase that the Queen speaks the standard of language set for her country. Why why was that put in the poem? That mystifies me.
Well, I'm not sure that I have the answer to that definitively, but I think what the poet is doing is describing the scene of the court and colonial culture and the bowing down to the sovereign, making sure that she's recognized as the queen, her speech, her realm, her colonies, her people. That doesn't include the Taino. That's as good as I can do, yeah?
I guess,
Where's the mic?
I don't know where the mic is.
There's the mic.
Right here.
What do you think, Norm?
So I just thought it was a way to slip in a reference to gold, which was one of the things the Spanish Empire was searching for.
Oh, nice. I like that. That's great. Gold standard.
I kind of like the fact that it's the Queen who asked about the people.
Yes. And yes, Your Majesty, there were some people. Yes, yeah. Let's do a diagonal pass up through here. Sweetie, turn around, or Neville. And we're going to Jim. Here, no, this Jim. Wait. Jim Delaplane.
It's very quick. What the Queen says goes. She's the ultimate authority.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, the gold standard. All right. It didn't take them long to wipe these people out, by the way.
Well, there are still some Taino
There are some,
people.
is that how you pronounce it, Taino?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, oh, there are, but I mean, it was just like what happened to our Native Americans. Disease and being treated badly. All right, so here's the other poem by a man named Blas Falconer, who teaches at San Diego State University. And I need to just tell you that this is a reference to something that has gone down in Puerto Rican legend, well, Taino legend, about Diego Salcedo, a semi-legendary Spanish conquistador. According to the legend, the Taino people killed him to determine if the Spaniards were indeed immortal. Why would they think that? They thought the Spaniards were gods. And what did they teach them? They taught them about the resurrection of the body, and after 3 days, the whole thing, right? So if they're gods, you have to serve them. All right, the given account. This definitely is a persona poem. I'm not sure about the other one. They said they were gods, and we believed. They crossed uncrossable seas, after all, in ships with sails like wings. But Salcedo is dead. Pacing river shallows, turning rocks, sifting sand for flecks of gold. He cut his foot on stone or shell, sending braids of blood downstream. Overhead, wind shook trees so leaves and light spilled in, catching a school of fish, a silver shimmer. I was there, kneeling on the bank. I dressed his wound, pressing strips of cloth to stop the flood, but red spots seeped through the weave. My fingers wet with blood. His blood, no different from mine. He winced, his face paled by pain, but nothing changed. No dove, no cloud, no beam of light. And he, a god or son of God, I, who came to drink, struck dumb by one thought. They bleed. They die. Led him back into the pool and pushed his head below. His arms thrashed, legs kicked, lungs inhaled mouths of water. He stopped. 3 days I stayed to see him stir. But he, not strongest, weakest, or cruelest of them, did not move. I pulled him out. He hung wet and limp and heavy in my arms. This man, almost too much to bear. Oh, it's pretty good, huh? Got complicated there. Got complicated. Emotionally complicated poem. Why 3 days? Everybody's getting this?
Because Jesus was dead for 3 days.
Yes, and then rose from the dead, the resurrection.
There's also a reference, I think, to the Pietà.
Oh, good.
Wet and limp and heavy in my
Oh,
arms.
that's wonderful. I hadn't caught that. Oh, that's wonderful. The holding the body, oh. Yeah. Almost too much to bear. So I just think, having discovered this, I kept sort of drilling down a little bit. Isn't it an amazing thing to see the drowning of Diego Salcedo in the plaza, a prominent plaza in Puerto Rico? Who knew? So could we talk about he hung wet and limpy and heavy in my arms? This man, almost too much to bear. That changes the whole poem, doesn't it? I think it is.
Yeah. His death changes his whole worldview.
His death.
The death changes his whole worldview.
Yes.
I mean, the idea of the conquistadors being gods.
Yes.
You know, all of a sudden he knows they're not.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah. Well, and what do you think happens next? There's a bloody rebellion. Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts?
I think what all three of these poems, four, have in common is that when these indigenous people encounter Europeans, they are dehumanized and they hate that. In all of them, there's this very strong feeling of despising the way they're treated by the Europeans.
Well, being treated like animals.
Yeah.
And God, look at what we're doing. Hold on a second when it lit.
I read it.
That's me, if I walk close to the mic.
Okay. I read it a little differently because I'm thinking the people.
Never mind, it's
Oh,
that
it's-
mic, but don't worry about it.
Okay, just forge ahead.
It's written by somebody who is a native, sort of.
Exactly.
So he doesn't know anything about Jesus Christ, you know, getting revived or something after 3 days. So I wouldn't refer it to Jesus.
I think the idea is that by the time this poem, the account in this poem is written, they have been taught that well, and you know, these are Catholics, these conquistadors, and one of the things that they have to do is rescue the natives from their pagan ways, and so they're taught the whole story. 3 days, yada yada.
Okay.
Yeah, so I see your point though.
But the early Spanish missionaries pressed Christianity on the natives, suppressing their own indigenous religion. And that's the irony, because it was that teaching that caused this conquistador's death.
Yes, but I think that they had taken advantage of a misunderstanding. You know, the boats come in with those white wings from out of nowhere. And these people come with all their military paraphernalia that these people don't have, et cetera, et cetera. It's the usual story of colonization. And teach them their religion and convert them. It's very important that they be converted. And so to discover that they're not gods and that they bleed and they die, means that they're not so different from us, and maybe we're not going to accept this anymore. Yeah. Oh, boy.
This is not anything profound, but as someone who plays with poetry and likes it, I wanted to just call attention to the last line where the poet says, almost too much to bear. And it's really two meanings. Too much to bear the weight of this wed man, but also emotionally about what happened to him. So I like that.
Yes, and I think that is the thing that moves me to include this poem, because it has that emotional complexity. It's almost too much to bear to realize that these people who have humiliated us so, colonized us, treated us like animals, are really no different from us.
And they were lying.
They were lying. It's almost too much to bear. Yeah. Okay. Yay!